So I just wanted to show you what's installed on my computer. Uh, this is I just redid my Mac. It was running a little slow, and since then I've been a little picky about what I install. And so here's the official list of apps that I am currently using. Up to here you'll see apps that come with the Mac. This is OS X El Capitan. I haven't moved over to Sierra yet. Uh, the first apps that I download are a word processing app. This is Apple's Pages. This is like Excel, but Apple's Numbers, and like PowerPoint. This is Keynote. And then, of course, I get straight to the heavy stuff, which is Final Cut Pro, Motion. This one obviously edits video. This creates graphics. This compresses the video files into smaller uploadable sizes in different formats. And then I have 1Password, which manages all my passwords. It creates 50 character unique passwords for all 600 and something accounts I have. And then we have Chronicle, which is good at bill management and keeps track of your subscriptions, and tells you when you're. It's like a calendar for your bills. Then I have Kika here, and this is a compressor. Uh, your Mac comes with a compressor, but this one can compress into 7Zs and gzips and different compression standards, and it can also decompress them, so that's really good. This is Encrypto. This is free, and this encrypts. Does kind of the same thing like zipping, but it does an encrypted archive, and that's always useful when you're trying to send something sensitive, or you just want to keep people out and are sharing it in a very public cloud or unencrypted area like Dropbox. This is Pixelmator. It's an alternative to Photoshop. This is the first alternative to Photoshop I bought. I actually bought this before I bought Photoshop, and it's really, really good, easy to use. Um, but then I ended up getting Photoshop because there were some things it didn't do. This is Snap Motion. That does a freeze frame of videos. So if you want to make a thumbnail and grab a snapshot of a video real fast, this is a good way to do it. This is ScreenFlow. This is how I'm recording the video now. And I have a app for compressing JPEGs, making them smaller so you can upload them on Twitter or anywhere else that you need to have a smaller photo size. Generally when you take a photo of a DSLR, it can be 50 megabytes. This will compress it to just a few kilobytes so you can upload it on wherever you need to put it. And that's really good when you're doing web development. You don't want your photos to be that large. You want to compress them so they load fast. This is Duplicate Detective. If you have a bunch of duplicate files on your computer, this is a good way to find and eliminate them very quickly. And I'll probably do a video showing how that works. This is Folder Tidy. And what I use this for is it automatically organizes the clutter I have in either my downloads folder, which there's nothing there right now, or my desktop, which does get cluttered. Then we have Silent Sifter, and this sorts photos from various sources and makes sure that you don't have any duplicates and files them away really nicely and renames them. It's really neat. This is File Rename Pro, and this batch renames files. So if I have a folder of image 026 or some generic photo names, and I want to change them to something more useful, this will rename the whole folder and create sequences. It has a lot of options, and I'll show that in a upcoming video. This keeps track of what I do with my time, so I can keep track of all the time I'm spending. I could basically keep track of how long it takes me to make this video, and that's good for when you want to build clients. This removes audio from videos, so if you want to do stock video, you want to take out the audio track away from it so you can just upload just the video without any audio. This is a good way to do that. And the best part about this app is it doesn't require any rendering. It just deletes the audio track, and it makes a copy of the file, but it deletes the audio track, so you have both versions. Now, if you don't change the setting, it will actually delete your original. Don't want that. This is caffeine. This keeps my computer awake when I want it to do some long tasks that otherwise the computer would go to like a screensaver or go to sleep. This will keep my computer awake so it can render, upload, do whatever it is, any task I want it to do overnight, and where I'm not around to move the mouse, or in this case the trackpad. This is bandwidth. This is a bandwidth meter. I kind of call it my internet speedometer. It tells me how much internet I'm using, so uploading, downloading, and how much bandwidth, which basically means megabits per second that I'm pulling up or down, which I tend to pull a lot of because I upload very large files, so I can slow your entire network down very easily. So I got this primarily for work because I've actually brought down their whole network by myself, and they were trying to figure out who was doing it. It was me, and I didn't know I was doing it, and that's why I got this so I could kind of keep track of, make sure I don't pull too much of their network. This helps me remember everything. It's really good note-taking app, and it's a little pricey, but I found that the OCR, optical character recognition, being able to search in documents and PDFs and take pictures of things like receipts, and then it can read it and you can search for it without actually having to enter in the information in it. That's very helpful, and it's just nice. It's kind of like 1Password, where you have all your passwords in one place, all your accounts in one place. Well, this is the same kind of concept of management system for documents, for text, and it's very neat. I think the old way of doing Word documents in folders is a little bit cumbersome. This is probably better to, for fast-paced stuff, just to do this. It opens quick. It's not as slow as Word. Keeps it all in one place, and it's all searchable, including what's inside the document. This helps me remember my dreams. I wanted to keep these things separate, so I bought a journal, it has some special features to it, like it tells you where you were at when you wrote it, what the weather was like, what music you were listening to, were you walking, moving, driving. Hopefully you're not driving while you're writing your journal. So I usually journal stuff in here, and I for a year have been writing my dreams. I wake up and try to remember where I was, which was in the dream, and write it in here. And I found that you remember things backwards. So if you can remember the last place you were, if you don't, when you wake up and you don't immediately remember dreaming, try to remember the last place you were, and then you'll remember that it was a dream world. It wasn't really a real place, and then you'll work your way backwards. And basically, I write the dream backwards, and I write one thing, and that helps me remember something else, and I keep going. Sometimes my head hurts when I remember these things, so it's like as if your brain does not want you to remember it. But I've managed to write about 200 dreams down and kind of look at the patterns in them and how detailed some are and some are not, and very interesting. And my purpose for that is probably make a movie with some of them someday, because they're just so original and out there that I think they might be interesting. This is a QR creator. So if you want to make QR codes, instead of going online and typing in QR maker, which you could probably do, it's just nice to have it on the computer to just make QR codes really fast and change some of the options and not have to be charged for it. So I have a QR maker. I have a QR reader that can actually read QR codes. This is what gives me unlimited storage on my computer, because I use ODrive to basically use all the clouds that are out there that are available, including Amazon Drive, which is unlimited. And this basically, it's hard to explain, but it makes the cloud look like it's part of my local computer. And all the folders are here on my local computer, but they're really in the cloud, and they're here too. But some are representative files. I can download them, and I can undownload them, and they won't take up any space. And this can happen automatically, so it'll prevent my hard drive from ever getting full. And it will also put everything in the cloud, like Amazon, in this case Amazon Drive, and I can access it on my phone and everything. It's really neat, and I can access it on all my computers. So it's like Dropbox, but unlike Dropbox, where it downloads everything to your computer, this only downloads what you want it to download. And then when you're not using it, you can set it to, if I haven't touched this file in a week or a month, undownload this file and just make it a representative file. That a folder that represents that file but isn't actually there until you click on it and download it. This is Telegram, and Telegram kind of reminds me of iMessage a little bit. So if you're familiar with iMessage, Telegram is very similar. So you would ask, well, why do you need this? Well, you have friends that have Androids, and they use SMS, and that's not secure. That's not encrypted. And so this, I've gotten my friends on it, and all of our messages are encrypted. The nice thing about this that iMessage doesn't do is you can install this on a PC or a Linux computer, or you can use their web.org, telegram.org website to respond to messages, and you can put that on your TV. I mean, you just need a web browser, really, and so your television can be a texting device. It's really neat to be able to text from a keyboard and a computer and not necessarily have to use your phone. So this is really cool. I wish Apple wasn't so stuck on their devices. So this is really neat that I can do it on any device, including Linux, which is free. This is the Noun project, and I get icons like these, these little shapes or little vector icons, and it's a great source to drag and drop, any kind of vector. So to explain that, you see this elephant here, that could be considered a vector. This, bee could be considered a vector. This little camera icon is definitely a vector. And so if you wanted a camera icon like this to make an app or any design that you want to do, you would get it from the Noun project. And this is probably where this came from, because it looks very familiar. It looks like one of their public domain icons that are in the Noun project library. So this is probably how they made this app icon. They just dragged one of these camera icons, changed the color to white. They're usually black, and you change it to white. You can change it whatever color you want. Do a gradient back here, and then draw a circle around it, and there's your app icon. This is for Gmail, so I can check my Gmail. It basically kind of clones a web browser and checks Gmail with, as if it would look like gmail.com. The benefit of having this app is I can check several Gmail accounts and be logged into several Google accounts simultaneously, I think up to 6. And that's useful because I have a lot of Google accounts. This is Affinity Pro. This is another substitute to Photoshop. And I think it's better than Pixelmator. It seems like it's got a lot more features than Pixelmator. I really liked Pixelmator, but I'm going to adopt the Affinity app series from Serif. This is a UK development company that has really done a good job making a replacement for Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. This would be your alternative to Adobe Illustrator, and I really use Adobe Illustrator a lot. So when I used this app, I was very pleased that I wasn't really missing anything that was, that would stop me from switching over and getting off the Creative Cloud subscription, which that's expensive. And I think the bigger issue here is that Adobe is not doing a good job with their programming. It slows down all my computers got slowed down by Adobe Creative Cloud, and Chrome for that matter. And I'm not installing Chrome or Adobe Creative Cloud on my computer anymore because everything starts crawling. So I figured it's time to get off the subscription. This is only $50 a app, so there's $100 right here, and it's one time. So if you think about it, I've had Pixelmator since 2011, and it's still good. It's still the current version, and hopefully this remains the same for these guys. They don't make you buy an upgrade, but this is great. You know, you pay $100 and you're done, as opposed to, you know, it can be as much as $600 a year for Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, granted, these are just 2 apps, and a Creative Cloud has 12, and so I'm gradually looking for replacements. I'm going to have a list available um, for possible replacements for all their apps. The only thing that Adobe Affinity Designer might be missing is being able to vectorize raster images. Um, I don't know for sure it's missing, but I haven't found it yet. So, and I'm pretty sure it probably isn't there. So I'm going to look for something that can, and maybe another app that can rasterize or vectorize rasters. And but everything else is there, and it's actually better than. It's more intuitive and it's easier to work with. It's not as frustrating, and it's some very subtle design um, techniques they use that made this better, and they have to make it better because they're trying to compete with the Goliath that is Adobe Creative Cloud. Moving on, here's Twitter. This is how I tweet on my Mac. Instead of going to twitter.com like I usually do, now I have an app that can be signed into multiple Twitter accounts, which I manage. Um, you know, some for businesses, some for, you know, Deserted Texas, a group of ghost town documentarians I'm part of. Um, so this is where I tweet. This is interesting. Instagram Uploader. You can upload photos directly from your computer to Instagram, and this hasn't always been the case. And I don't know how long this is going to last, because Instagram really doesn't want you to do that. They want you to do it from your phone. But this has been really helpful when you take photos with a DSLR and wish to upload them to Instagram, because I feel like a iPhone um, camera isn't really suited for what I want to accomplish. This does the same thing, but this is a free app. And then you have filter apps where, you know, similar to Instagram, you have, you know, filters you can put on your photos. These three do the same. These three do it. I really like these, and these are really good too. And this does something a little bit more creative. This it does the same thing as these three, but it also puts text and effects and a little bit more. So all three of these are really good to have. This whitens teeth. I mean, if you want to whiten teeth or do some kind of, you know, skin smoothing or anything like that, this would accomplish that. And I've used it a few times just to try it out. Um, it's a lot faster than doing it with Photoshop. This is grand perspective, and what this does is tells you how much stuff you have on your hard drive and where it's located, so you can delete it if your hard drive is full. This is kind of going obsolete for me because I have this, so I'm not worried about running out of space. This creates icons for apps, so you can make different app sizes. You know, if you make an app icon like this, this will put it for your iPhone, Apple Watch, Android, and so on. Very neat way to create multiple app dimension icons quickly. This is a color picker. This picks colors, so if you want one of these colors and you want to use this color in your project, this will pick it for you and tell you the hexadecimal, RGB, and CMYK numbers. This is a code app, so you can code CSS, HTML, and so on, JavaScript, and so this is neat because it's just for coders. So I use this. This is nice. It's free. GarageBand obviously is for music, and it's great. And this is Flickr Uploader, which is now only for Flickr Pro. And the nice thing about Flickr Pro is you can upload photos from your. It's really neat. I really do like the feature um, that it just automatically grabs all your photos and makes sure that you don't have any duplicates in your Flickr library. I think it's really neat. Um, there's some other things I would like to see Flickr do, but I won't get into that right now. And that is a tour of my computer apps at this time. Most of these are from the Mac App Store, which you can find here if you have a Mac. And the only only couple of ones that you won't find in the Mac App Store is this one. You'll have to go to odrive.com I recommend that. And I'm looking for any other ones that are not in Flickr Uploader. If you have Flickr, you'll have to go to their website. But most of yes, all these are in the Mac App Store, and the reason I'm doing that is I believe that Apple's pretty rigid with their requirements, and my computer will run smoother if I just use App Store apps instead of using like Adobe Creative Cloud or Microsoft Word, where they just kind of do their own thing, and it's bad because it slows down my whole computer. At least I know they're going to be compliant with Apple standards and most likely won't slow down my machine. So that's it. And until next time, thanks for watching.